Hi, guys.
Hey,
This is the Witches, Magic, Murder, and Mystery podcast.
I'm Kara.
And I'm Megan.
And this is a side piece episode.
Hello. Yes.
I love it.
First, man, I'd saved all these news stories because whenever something happens in true
when
crime world,
Yes.
and I felt like this past week it's like a whole bunch. So first off, we got a Instagram message.
Okay.
And I know the guy that sent it. His name's Steven. We went to high school together. And so, Steven, if you're listening,
Hey.
you're going to probably enjoy this too. So he sent a news link, and all he said in the message was, like, stay tuned, more bodies will be found.
I saw that and I was like, I'm afraid to click on this right now. And I just got back to work because I was in the middle of waiting on a client to numb. And I was like, I can't click on this right now.
I know. I didn't reply to him, but what my thought was, like, if I didn't know you, I would have been like,
I'm not opening this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know? But it's the Lake Mead.
Oh.
So it's a reservoir, and the water level is going down. It's just
So creepy.
Yeah. And they found a body in a barrel that they think was a murder victim from the 80s, I believe. And then they found another one. So that was the link he sent me, but sent the podcast, was the body in the barrel.
Yeah.
And then a second set of human remains was found. The first one was discovered May 1st, a murder victim who died from gunshot wounds sometime in the mid-70s to early 80s.
Gosh.
They're saying it's drained dramatically over the last 15 years. And anyway, they've found another body. And so I think the part of this, it's not just like morbid curiosity, although I have that.
Oh, for sure.
It's also, I wonder how many cold cases
we
might get some answers to.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing I always love. I mean, not that it's sad, but it's also like so much better, I think.
You're
to
going to get closure.
You have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate. There's no good.
No, there's no
response,
outcome in murder, but
I think not knowing would be the worst.
Right.
And then the 3 tourists who died at that Sandals resort in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
In case you all, I'm sure everybody's heard about this, but let's talk about it anyway. So they found a couple in one villa and one man in another villa, and his wife also, but she wasn't dead when they found her.
Right.
And she's actually been upgraded. She was in like critical condition. Now she's in fair condition, and she's at a hospital in Miami. But the other couple was dead when they found them, and her husband.
DOA.
They said the couple, they showed signs of convulsion.
Yeah.
They're also saying there's no sign of foul play. And so that makes me think some sort of poisonous.
Right. Yes.
gas.
Yeah.
Because remember several years ago, there was something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a toxic cleaning thing.
Yeah.
Like some kind of chemical.
I don't remember what it was from.
But it was the same deal. People were at some tourist resort and I think a couple people died.
Yeah.
It was like, what? So just, can you imagine being at the Sandals right now?
Mm-mm.
I would just be like, well,
I got to get out of here
to go.
Yeah, I'm not eating the food. One of my clients, actually, they went to a resort, not Sandals Resort, but somewhere. They just got back last week, and she came for her lip appointment, and she was talking about how she was fine, but her husband, like, they almost couldn't come back because he got, like, deathly ill with stomach issues because he
drank the water.
Well, they didn't drink out of like tap water, but he kept drinking drinks from like the tiki bar that had ice in them, and they were wondering if they were made from like unfiltered water, maybe, or the ice machine was bad.
That wouldn't be.
I don't know. See, I don't know. She was like, that's the only thing he had that was different than me.
Well, these people, they said all 4 of them had gone like to the medics the night before at different times, complaining of feeling bad. And they'd all eaten at different places. There's not anything similar they can find. So it makes me wonder if it's another case of some sort of chemical or whatever. And then, of course, I'm automatically like Havana syndrome.
Exactly.
Like, is this some sort of testing? Like somebody's testing out some kind of...
Is this getting weird?
And then the last thing was, did you hear about the guy who escaped from prison with a prison guard?
No.
Okay, the guy's name was Casey White, and the prison guard was Vicky White, and I think it was Alabama.
Okay.
And so she was a prison guard. And she was like, I'm taking him for a mental health evaluation, which was not true, but I guess nobody double checked it. She had bought a car with a fake ID specifically for them to go on the run in. She had bought him clothes.
What?
And I'm just like, what happened? But then they were caught in Indiana, and she shot herself. So she died, but the inmate is back in custody. What happened? And, and we're never going to know. I just want to talk to her and be like, because they said she was a really exemplary employee.
Like, what?
How did you get here?
Yeah.
How did you get
what
here?
set this up?
And also, how did you think you were going to get away with this? That's the thing that blows my mind. How did you think you would
Yeah.
Where were you going to go?
Yeah.
Indiana? Why are we
join
treated like
us?
Canada by now? Like, what?
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly. Have you been watching the Eric C. Kahn documentary
No.
on the Social
I
Security?
don't even know what that is.
Okay, it's on Apple. It's a documentary. It's like I think a 4-part, maybe almost an hour each, if that, on a Social Security lawyer in Appalachia, in Kentucky. And he ends up taking advantage of the system by being in cahoots with some judges and some doctors who are very shady doctors who had lost their licenses in some states and got them in Kentucky or like other states and sent these people to them, or would like just send a form and the judge and the doctors would just sign off on it. So all of these people, some of them did need Social Security benefits. Like some of them were dying. They were so sick. But then others, no, they didn't want to work. But he was getting millions of dollars. He drove like a Rolls Royce. He had a statue of Abraham Lincoln. He had the Statue of Liberty in his...
Rolls Royce in Appalachia.
Uh-huh. And he had
Way to blend in,
16...
dude.
Exactly. He had 16 wives. His office consisted of like tons of trailers all attached to each other. So it was a maze. And all of a sudden, this writer, I don't remember if he was in New York or California, where he was just doing research on Social Security and like the debt that it's in. And he came across Eric C. Kahn and started digging into it. So then these two sweet ladies that worked for the Appalachian Social Security Administration started noticing that this one judge was stealing files off of their desk and hitting approved immediately when it takes months to get approved. And it was taking them 30 days.
So are they just embezzling the funds for themselves?
So no.
Oh, how
like
are they
the people were getting money, but they get paid out for that as well.
Like a cut?
Mm-hmm.
How do you live with yourself?
Right.
What's your plan? What's your long-term plan?
Oh, and another one, he writes like this memoir while he's on the run. And so it's like people reading. It was absurd.
Yeah. When did this all take place? Like the 80s? Is a long time
ago?
No.
It was recently? It was like 2013, I think, was the... That's a little news tidbit.
I would definitely want to...
Everybody needs to go watch it. Yeah, and let us know what you think.
Okay.
Good old Kentucky.
I know it's a longer chit-chat than normal, you guys.
Yeah.
But come on.
Come on. We got a lot to talk about today. This is an interesting one. It's a mystery.
Okay.
It's not your typical... I don't know that either one of us have maybe covered anything like this.
Okay.
Like weird creatures. Do you believe in Bigfoot, Megan?
I do.
Yeah,
totally. 100%.
What about the Loch Ness Monster?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Mokele-mbembe?
Nope.
Keep this in mind. The Congo River Basin covers an area about 1.5 million square miles in Central Africa. So that's more than twice the size of Alaska or 6 times the size of Texas. Do you think that all of this land has been explored?
No.
They're thinking that the Congo, it's a good potential that this is possibly happening here.
Happening?
It could be I'm podcast in the happenings.
We're doing good.
Things are so good today. Okay, like I said, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, they're all well known.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this creature. There are reports of a Mokele-mbembe.
I'm just really impressed that you're even doing it with this name. Because I feel like it's something I would have been like, well, I can't do this episode because I'll never pronounce that.
I looked it up so many times and had to put like hyphens as to like where you're supposed to say it, and I'm still going to mess it up.
I'll write things out phonetically if it's like crazy and just be like, okay, here's each syllable. And I still
and
can't
you're like
do
clapping.
Yep.
So there is a Dr. Roy, I think it's Mackal, Mackal. He was a retired biologist from the University of Chicago. He was like, I've checked maps and data on the maps. There's not enough data. There's insufficient data to tell me what all's been explored. Mm-hmm. He was like, this place is so large. Like this, like,
and it's the Congo. So
exactly. He was like, it was the end of the world. It gives you a feeling of surviving prehistoric times. So, in 1980s, Dr. Mackal led 2 expedition teams to this swampy rainforest area of the Congo, and there's pygmies living there. They were looking for this dinosaur-like creature.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like the Loch Ness, but it was Africa's version of it. It was a large reptile-like creature. It had a long neck, long tail. They thought it was an herbivore. They said it would roar at them if humans approached it. And then they said...
So the pygmies are the ones who've seen it?
Yes.
Okay.
Some people said it has a single horn.
Mm-hmm.
This dinosaur-like creature, some of the tribes people would say they've seen it kill elephants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But if it's an herbivore, what? I mean, unless it's just territorial.
That was my question, too. But an elephant? Like, how
Yeah.
big was it? I mean,
It was pretty large.
yeah.
So they were like, we're just going to look for a creature that's of that description.
Yeah.
So they were like, it's really
It'll stand
aggressive.
out.
Yeah. They're like, it could be aggressive, so maybe we got to be on edge. We don't know. This has been explored by many of people just trying to find it. And then they were like, well, you know, we've seen it coming up out of the waters.
Oh, no.
And this is where I was
Of course
like,
they have.
see, this is where I was like, this, I got to do this.
Mhm.
Like Megan and I are terrified of
It
creatures
lives
in
in
the
the
water.
water.
Yeah. So they were like, it primarily lives there and then it'll come out to like eat and stuff. There have been more than 50 expeditions to this area, but they haven't had any like scientific evidence. There are like some large claw-shaped footprints recorded by a French missionary in 1776, and then several others have noted these footprints as well. The only photos they have are pretty fuzzy, kind of like Bigfoot.
They have, let's say.
Uh-huh.
And the Loch Ness Monster.
Yes, exactly. So they were like, but there's thousands of eyewitness reports. One says that I was on a boat on the river when I saw the Mokele-mbembe. He began to chase us. He rose out of the water. We ran or he would have killed us.
Mm-mm.
Terrifying.
Well, I mean, I think if the pygmies are saying that it's there, then I believe it because they live there.
Exactly.
I mean, they're going to know more than anybody.
Yes. Yes. Then there's a Phil, I think it's Olin. He was a community development worker. He was there for about 10 years, living there in the Congo and the Central African Republic. It was just about north of there. He said that the people who live in the area are in no doubt that this creature exists. Like they see it often.
Wow.
Yeah.
But none of them have ever gotten any other proof of it.
Do pygmies carry cameras on them?
Yeah, probably not. Wouldn't there be like, I don't know, dead ones? Or,
Exactly, right.
I don't know, just.
Or they've
evidence of
learned
them.
how to cohabitate.
I
with
keep
it.
not wanting to say poop, but poop.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, you
you
would think-
something.
Unless it poops in the water.
Oh, ew.
Yeah.
There's one more reason to not go. Water.
Ew. When people are sitting around a campfire talking, they talk about it. It's something that in their reality in everyday life. And then they say there's like a spiritual connection or a mystical relationship with it. He said the way they see the world is a little different than the way you and I see it. And he was just like, their eyewitness reports need to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Because they do. They don't have all the electronics that we have. They are living life completely different than we live it.
Right. And oral history is what they have.
Exactly. Like that's all they have. He was like, yeah, of course, like mythology surrounds it, but it's hard to document this species when we're only going on like these short missions, but they're living their everyday lives with it. But when you put it to people, like, is this creature real? People are just like, is it? Like this tribe said they are, but
I just don't know why we wouldn't believe them.
Right,
I mean,
right.
just because they can't provide.
Well, and exactly like I said in the beginning, like the Congo spans so far. There's no telling what's out there. Also, we have alligators.
Mm-hmm.
What are those dragon things?
Komodo dragons.
Yeah, Komodo dragons that have like all the venom in their saliva and stuff. Like there's also rhinoceros. Look like
with the one horn. I know, I
Yes.
had the same thought about the rhinoceros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Telling you, it's because we as humans, particularly us in Western civilizations, think that we know everything.
Yes. Yes.
And like these people must not because they're not, they live their life differently than we do.
Yes. The most often cited example similar to this animal is the okapi or okapi. I'm not sure. It's a cloven-hoofed mammal with zebra-like stripes on its legs. It lives in the Congo area, and they were just like, maybe this is what these people are seeing, like an African unicorn. But this creature doesn't live in the water. But it was only about like 1901 that this creature was properly documented and identified. But then they were like, oh, wait, it's a relative of the giraffe.
Oh.
Yeah. So they were like, I'd like to put the Mokele-mbembe in the same category as the Loch Ness Monster. It was Professor Bill Lawrence at James Cook University in Australia. He was a conservationist biologist and an expert in tropical rainforests.
Mhm.
He said, my gut sense is the likelihood of the creature actually existing today is small. However, one thing you learn early in science is never say never. We are still discovering new species all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like we are.
Especially in areas like that.
Well, that's what I was going to say again. Like, you have no idea what's there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there could be, I mean, there's new tribes of people. There's all sorts of things. It's insane.
It is weird to think about how there are parts of the world that we still haven't really explored. I mean, everybody's heard to think about the oceans.
Yeah.
But I mean, even, deep in the Congo, like
Yeah.
who's...
Well, yeah. And like these government officials are saying that 80% of this area is uncharted.
Wow.
Yeah. Who knows what's living there? Because it hasn't been touched.
Right.
There's
I
nobody
kinda
building. There's
love that.
yeah. What if there are mysterious creatures? What if it's like, what is that movie with the giant blue people, and they have like an area at Disney for it?
The blue people.
Yeah.
Avatar.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. What if it's like those creatures?
Yeah.
And like the tree of life there? U.S. writer Rory Nugent, who went on the Congo in search of this creature, wrote a book about his experience. It's called Drums Along the Congo. He said, an elegant French curve moving through the water. He believes it might have been the head of this creature, but he was just super skeptical about it. He was like, the guides were screaming about the god beast, whether it was part of a show or somebody swimming under the water with flippers, pushing a cardboard piece across a lake. I couldn't tell you. But also, why would they be putting on this show when they have such detailed description? And
For what purpose? Anyway?
Exactly.
What do they have to gain?
Well, and I was going to say, are they paying them? Because if
That's
they're
what I'm
paying
trying to
them,
figure
what
out.
are they going to do with that money?
Right. I don't
Like, they
understand.
yeah. I believe them. Like I said, like, are they paying them? Some were like, well, maybe it's a money-making operation. But then Mr. Nugent, it says he fears that one day a Disneyland Congo could be created in the area, similar to the tourist traps as if the Loch Ness. So he's just thinking that like tourists are continually like trying to fly in and like find this creature, especially now that they're like talking about it more and stuff. But
Guys, don't go.
Don't go.
Leave it alone.
Well, and also like there's some dangerous stuff.
Yeah, I would go.
Like don't go.
Heck
Don't
no.
go for lots of reasons. Then they were like, is it reproducing? Are there others and it's making babies? Is that why it's so defensive? Like, what?
Or they're dying out. There's just a few
Exactly.
left.
Yeah. Like, or is that why it's so defensive? Because it's so protective of the last few.
Mm-hmm.
Like on
The last
Land
unicorn.
Before Time.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yep.
A psychologist, Professor Jacqueline Woolley at the University of Texas, said, I think there is basic need or drive to entertain possibilities just outside of our reach. There is excitement in believing what seems impossible or improbable could potentially exist. She says that for belief in creatures like this to take hold, they can't be too wacky and far out. They must be similar to real entities, but vary in just one or two ways. Dr. Mackle says, I realize my bias. I'm interested in discovering unknown species of animals, but I think that the Mokele-mbembe still exists, and there isn't just one. They're reproducing, he says. At 86 years old, I would dearly love to be alive if and when the animals are discovered.
Oh.
Yeah. So then it says some of the African tribes refer to this creature as like a ghost or a spirit animal, as if they're just seeing its form, but not the actual creature, which is very interesting.
And that could have something to do with their culture too,
Right? And also drugs. I don't
But
think
and also drugs.
the Congos.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But like as far as whatever is, they're seeing something.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So it says it may also come from like cultural traditions that were shared memories of a region 1,000 years earlier than this area was inhabited by rhinos and elephants. Maybe this story just kind of evolved into this creature. I think it exists. I mean, there's thousands of people that have seen it. And you don't, I mean, maybe it is like a tiny little town where one story's told and then like everybody tells that around a campfire and then all of a sudden that's the story. But if it's like that game of telephone, things are going to get misconstrued and then you're going to be like, well, no, it's this detail. No, it's this detail, but everybody has the same. Also, where did that giant footprint come from?
Right.
A rhino doesn't look like that. An elephant doesn't look like that.
The other thing I think about is, remember in the sleep paralysis episode where we talked about whatever you have been brought up to believe, that's what you experience in sleep paralysis. Yeah. And so it could be a situation of almost the power of suggestion in some ways. Yeah. Like they see some kind of creature that is a rhinoceros or a giraffe or something, but it's dark or they're, who knows what they're doing. Right. And their thought is, oh, that's the creature. That's the thing. Yeah, because that's the culture they live in. Yeah. Your reality is shaped by your beliefs, right? So to you, it's like, oh yeah, that's that creature because that's what I'm supposed to see. Yeah. Could be. But I don't know. I just think for it to be something that's been around this long, it feels like a real thing. But that's also why I believe in Bigfoot.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I was going to say, like, what about that creepy old shark looking thing that was found in, like, was it the waters of Asia or something?
I don't know,
but it's terrifying looking. Like, it looks like an old man in shark form.
See, don't go in the water. But like things deep in the ocean, I mean,
and do they know
are number one terrifying,
right.
but also what's down there.
Exactly. And do they know those giant squid? How old are those things?
Yeah, so we don't know how old this thing could be.
I mean, these things could live forever.
The idea that it can move between water and land is really interesting too. Yeah. Gosh, it would be something to find.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Who knows what it is? Mokele-mbembe.
I think, who was it? Maybe Morgan in our Patreon was talking about, she wanted some cryptid episodes.
Oh, I saw that about like mermaids and stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know we had talked about it in one of the live chats. They're doing a cryptid episode. So I'll do it. I promise. And we'll do one that covers everything. But this is a great little short story.
I know. That's so interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
No, I hadn't either.
I think that's something too that like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and things like that we've heard of. But there's so many.
Oh my gosh.
That we haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's really interesting.
So crazy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
It makes me want to look up pictures or drawings, I guess, to show pictures.
It literally looks like a small long neck dinosaur or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
Bronchiosaurus.
Could,
yeah, sure.
Absolutely. I know all about these types of things.
It's like me, like when we drive by a cloud and I'm like, oh, that's a cirrostratus. And everybody's like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, listen, we studied them in the 3rd grade and it has not left my brain since.
I feel like I'm a physics expert right now because of I'm working on that one episode.
Yes.
And so I'll have these thoughts all the time about it's like space and molecules and the God particle and black holes, like all that kind of stuff is in my head. And I'm just like, what am I doing? This is not my life.
This is not happening.
Have a good week, you guys.
Yeah.
If you would like to get in touch with us,
it's literally all in the show notes.
Yeah. So feel free to reach out. And we love you
so much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.